It is time that we had a talk. A real talk.
Hey, what is up, guys? Star Wars Real Talk here. Today, we are finally going to address the elephant in the room, the Rey movie. I haven't talked about it even once. I just realized that today. And I figured, let's talk about it. Because we're kind of in a dry period right now with Star Wars stuff. There's not really much happening, but there was some stuff announced that we could talk about. And I'm not like a huge news channel, but I think it's worthwhile to talk about three movies that had been announced, right? So today we're just going to focus on the Rey movie. Maybe we'll talk about the other two movies at a different time. But I just wanted to talk about it, kind of briefly share my thoughts. Not going to be a super long stream. I just wanted to. Here, I'll pull up my bullet points here. There's not a ton of information out yet, so we don't know a whole lot. So we're going to start with talking about what we know going into it, kind of my thoughts, where I think the plot could go, where it should go, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, so this is our first return to Star Wars movies since 2019. That's pretty crazy for Disney to acquire Lucasfilm's Star Wars and not put out a movie since 2019. That's insane, and just double down on TV shows. But hey, here we are. So Lucasfilm announced 3 new upcoming standalone movies during the opening of Star Wars Celebrations 2023. That was pretty recent, although I didn't watch it. Star Wars is not really in a place right now where I'm going to watch Star Wars Celebration. But yeah, Daisy Ridley did share her thoughts a little bit on it, and we'll get to that soon. And the movie will start shooting April 7th in London, 2024. So relatively soon, I guess. And what we do know is that it is, in fact, a confirmed sequel to the sequel trilogy. Sequel to the sequel. I don't know how they're going to go about wording that. I don't know what the hell we're going to call this, because we can't call it. We're going to call it the sequel to the sequel. It's going to need its own name. So I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think we should call this new set of movies. But I don't know if it's. I guess it's going to be another set of 3. Are we still going to continue that trilogy thing? Or are we just going to kind of do individual movies? Because I'd be fine with that, honestly. Like, take the pressure off of the trilogy. Let's just get movies. I'd be fine to kind of test it out, see where it goes. Let's get a string of 5 Star Wars movies in a row where we don't have to resolve it in 3 movies, because we saw how that worked. It was disconnected, disjointed. If it's not George Lucas behind the wheel, then maybe we don't want trilogies anymore. Maybe we just want individual movies. I don't know. Just speculating here. Okay, so let's start off talking about the plot. So we know very little about this movie, but we do know that Rey is starting a new Jedi Order, which is essentially what Luke was trying to do but failed. But I guess Rey is going to succeed where Luke failed. We're just going to continue on with that theme. But I don't think this is a secret to anybody that this kind of sounds like the sequel. Like, this is what Episode 7 should have been. It kind of seems like now we're going back to that. So we're kind of like rehashing it, which is unfortunate because it's not really it's not an original idea, because this has been done in EU, then it's been done in TLJ, and now here we are again starting a new Jedi Order. So it just kind of seems like it's technically something new, but it's not actually that original. This is essentially the movie that Luke should have had and should have gotten, but he didn't. One thing that I wrote down here is that this movie needs to be original, but it has to be original in a way where it doesn't hurt the franchise. Because obviously, The Last Jedi was pretty original, aside from a lot of the stuff that they had copied. That's a weird statement to make. But, stuff that isn't going to hurt the canon, I just feel like, I don't know. Star Wars is like an IP that we need to protect now. We're just like on full damage control. So if they're gonna go original with it, just like go in a new direction. Don't walk the line anymore, because it's too scary for the fans. It's too scary watching a show about Kenobi or Ahsoka. It's just too hard, because I'm just always worried that something's gonna go wrong, that something's gonna get ruined. It's just the only way to avoid that fear that we all have, that cautious optimism that we all carry with us. The only way to deal with that is to just not have the risk at all. Just like, excuse me, this is like my first time like talking so much all day. You need to just avoid that completely and just go down an original path. I think that is what's going to serve this movie, trilogy, whatever, the best. Something that I think we need to see here is we need to see Rey struggling with trying to build this new Jedi Order and not going exactly the way she hoped. Like, she has to struggle to get this thing running effectively, because we know that she doesn't struggle with training. She doesn't struggle with power, anything like that. Like, I'm not beating the Mary Sue drum here again. I just mean, like, she needs to struggle in things that she maybe didn't excel at. Like, does she excel at managing people? Does she excel at dealing with the drama of students who are all living together? Like, how is she going to go get these students? Like, I'd like to see her struggling to, I don't know, how is she, like, is she going to go to someone's home and convince the parents that she should be taking their child away from them? So there could be some like interesting struggles that we haven't really seen before. That would be really interesting, and that's something that hasn't really been explored in the movies, at least. So, and even like after she gets the students, it'd be interesting to see her struggle with drama between the students, or they're just acting immature, or they don't want to listen to her, or they change their mind and they want to leave, or there's a lot of struggles for her to overcome, challenges that aren't necessarily Rey has to beat up a bad guy with a lightsaber, right? She has to go rescue someone. She has to blah, 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 find this thing to lead her to this thing. There's a lot of challenges that can kind of stay local on a planet, like we've seen from Andor. You can do a lot with a very little, if the story is good. So that's what really matters here. If you don't have a good story, then Rey's going to be flying off on adventures and all over the place, and it's going to be crazy the whole time. And I don't think we want to see a J.J. Abrams movie like that either. So I think a little more drama would be good, with a fair amount of action involved. Yeah, I mean, we think of Cal Kestis in the first Fallen, what's it called? Yeah, Jedi. I'm confusing them. The first Fallen Order. Yeah, there it is, Fallen Order. There's challenges that a Padawan can overcome in a very small place. That's interesting and exciting, right? Let's move on to the bad guys. So, been confirmed, because I think Kathleen Kennedy said this. The sinister First Order has been defeated. It's funny, sinister. They just seem like a bunch of clowns. But anyway, I think that they've confirmed that there won't be the First Order, which is good. I don't know if you guys saw my text crawl parody about the Second Order. Like, they better not. Like, even if they do First Order remnants, like, it's just so played out. Like, I don't want to see the remnants of the Empire, the remnants of the First Order. Just, I know they're around, like, whatever. If it's going to be a small thing or for one movie, then fine. But don't do a whole, there's this whole faction now out of nowhere. Like, maybe people bought that with the sequels, but they're not going to buy it again. They got away with it for the normies, but I don't know. I really don't want them to reuse. I don't want them to reuse old villains, old ideas. Let's just get something fresh. And honestly, don't even need an evil faction. We don't even need bad guys here. Like, sure, there could be, but like I said earlier, the struggles can be within the challenges of starting a new Jedi Order. Maybe she's butting heads with the what are they called? The New Republic, whatever the good guys call themselves now. Maybe she's butting heads there because they don't like the idea that she's starting a Jedi Order. Maybe they're scared that this whole Jedi thing's going to be an issue again. Maybe they're scared that the Jedi are going to be too powerful, or it doesn't fall within the lines of what they want for their new galaxy. Like, maybe, whatever, you get my point. Maybe there are issues there with getting it started. Maybe she's not allowed to, and she has to break some rules. Maybe she struggles with getting resources. Maybe the planet that she's on kind of sucks for that. Or, like, How is she gonna fund this? Where's the food gonna come from? Where are the shelters? Are they gonna build the shelters, or where are the tools coming from? So there could be challenges there. Um, I really hope that they don't just like start the movie and then there's Rey and she looks cool, and they pan out to the planet and there's a bunch of huts and a fire and students already in uniform. It's like they're just skipping all the like, how did this get started? How do all the students get matching uniforms? Where'd they get their lightsabers from? They could really take time to deep dive and explore that stuff. And I think that there's a lot of potential there for that to be interesting. Um, Something she could struggle with is the power hierarchy, the students. Like, take some time. It doesn't even have to be a lot of students. Just be like, maybe she only gets 3 students this movie. Maybe the next movie she has 12 students. Maybe the third movie she's got 30 students. And each movie comes with different struggles because they focus on, like, maybe the first 3 students in this movie, all unique personalities. Maybe one wants to be stronger than Rey. Maybe they don't get along. They have different ambitions, motivations, whatever. There's a lot there. And maybe she has to struggle with this growing, to keep control. And maybe the 3 Padawans that are in this movie get trained and age. And in the next movie, maybe they're like, what do you call it? Like, I don't know what the title is, but maybe they're Jedi Knights and they're helping Rey train. Like, there's a potential here for like a hierarchy and a growth, which could be cool. You need that for an order, right? There has to be like here and here. We need people in both of these positions, not just Rey here and students here. That has to change at some point. And that kind of leads into my next point. Supporting roles. Finn could have been really good here if they had explored his like the whole Jedi thing that kind of got thrown to the side. This could have been awesome with Rey as the master and Finn playing a supporting role, helping train the Jedi while also trying to achieve Jedi Knight status himself. A lot of potential there. It kind of already feels like a missed opportunity. Like, obviously, Luke could have helped her. Maybe Luke didn't have to die. Maybe Luke would have helped her out here. So, I don't know. I feel like it's not a good sign when it already feels like missed opportunities. Anyway, I wanted to like circle back to the bad guys thing because there's one point I wanted to make. Especially back to like this being Luke's story. This could have been Kylo Ren's story. Like, we could have seen a Kylo Ren equivalent or whatever, someone in there. Like, it's literally what we missed from the sequel trilogy. The whole story was there. This whole thing was already laid out with Luke trying to start an order. Kylo Ren, there's a connection there to Han Solo and Leia, and he rises up, and like maybe Luke wouldn't make that mistake to strike someone down in their sleep because he had a bad vibe, but maybe Rey would make that mistake. Maybe that's more believable. Maybe this whole story that Luke had, this just could have been Rey's story, like, and it would have been fine, because Luke is the hero's archetype that you don't want to fuck with, but Rey is like she's kind of she's kind of a blank canvas. There's not a whole lot to her character. There's not a whole lot of depth there. There's still a lot that they could explore if they wanted to do that now. So I don't know, man. The bad guy for this movie could have just been one of her students that rose against her or turned against her, or she fucked up with one of her students and her student took off and came back with a bunch of thugs or something. That could have been fine. We don't need an entire army, a giant galactic battle. Something localized like that could be equally as powerful, and I could see myself getting invested in something like that. But who knows what we're gonna get? Maybe we're just gonna get a bunch of fucking Star Wars space pirates. That actually, I just thought of it. Maybe, yeah, I was thinking that was gonna be lame, but maybe she tries to start an order, and some pirates come to the planet and burn everything down and steal all their resources. And the students aren't ready. Maybe she is a student that dies. Like, I'm coming up with ideas off the dome right now. I just thought of something stupid and turned it around into a good idea. But I think you get my point. Maybe the main villain could be a bounty hunter that's been sent to take Rey out, who was hired by a First Order remnant or something. Some kind of connection. I'm just saying, doesn't have to be a giant army. Something else here. I think whatever we see, I touched on this a little bit. It needs to be raw. It needs to be brand new. I think it would be cool if the movie started and Rey doesn't even have a planet picked out yet. You know, maybe she wants her own planet. She doesn't want to be connected to the politics or the army. She wants to just start totally fresh and new. Maybe the movie starts with her scouting around the galaxy looking for a planet by herself. That could be interesting. You know, what connections does she use? Is I I don't know if Poe's going to be back, but is she going to have to reach out for help? Maybe a threat comes that she wasn't prepared for, and she needs help. She needs some X-wing backup or something. Or what's her like? Is someone maybe going to fund this new order, right? This Jedi order. Like the word order has been tarnished to me because I just think first order, and final order, and this order 66. Too many, too many orders. But yeah, Jedi Order. I'm not sure if that's even what is that what they're calling this movie? Because I saw like on Google it showed up as like New Jedi Order, something like that. I don't think that's the official name, but maybe that's just what it's going by right now. So let's talk about Rey. What would we expect out of her character? Would we want her to be wise and mature? I just feel like there wasn't a whole lot to her character except she was pretty angry. She was always good and true and just, except for when she killed Kylo Ren. Oh man, I just cracked my back. I'm just realizing that must look super weird on the camera. Yeah, I would like to see. They could kind of like lean into what they did with the sequels, and maybe Rey has been able to conquer and crush every problem that's come her way. She gets strength relatively easily. She doesn't struggle with power or anything like that, but maybe she struggles with ego. Maybe she struggles with all of a sudden she realizes that she's the best because she's done all this stuff, and she comes across new challenges like working with students or just something that challenges her ego where like, oh, she can't solve this problem by using brute force or strength, or she can't use it she can't solve the problem by just using her natural talents. Like she has to actually work hard at humbling herself or being like, hey, I want to start a Jedi Order. I want to train people, but I actually suck as a teacher. Like I think back to when I played football, and there were players that I used to play with that are great players. They owned the field, but when they tried to be a coach, they just couldn't communicate their skills. They couldn't transfer. They couldn't teach, right? They just knew how to do it, but they couldn't demonstrate it. So some challenges Rey could have there, having to deal with humbling herself, stuff like that. If we want to like roll with the momentum we had from the sequel trilogy. Yeah, I don't know what else I expect from her. I guess it'll be cool to see her yellow lightsaber again. It'd be cool if she had a different look, long hair, maybe. I don't know. She's just kind of looked the same through the sequel trilogy. There wasn't a whole lot of change, so I think a big change would be really cool and would give it kind of a fresh feel, just aesthetically speaking. Maybe she loses her arm. You know what? That's just kind of a Star Wars thing now. So maybe she needs to earn her stripes finally and lose an arm. Or she just loses a leg. Maybe her challenge is she has to relearn how to move with only one leg and a prosthetic. Maybe her challenge is she has to relearn how to be a Jedi, but she's not as gifted and naturally talented anymore because she's missing a leg. There are ways that they can challenge her, I think. And I hope that they explore some of these ideas. Not that they're watching this video, but I really hope that they're taking this from all angles. Because like I'm looking at this like extremely localized. Like let's stop making this a galaxy thing. even though it's called Star Wars, War in the Stars, right? But I think we need to rebuild a little bit, you know? Like even the battles that we saw, I don't know. I don't want to go too sidetrack here, but I think you get my point. This next point I touched on a little bit. First movie, she has maybe only like a handful of Padawans. The next movie, she has a little more. Third movie, she has a lot, and maybe that's when like a bigger threat, comes around. Like wait till you have more Padawans or something. Like wait on the big faction or the big threat till you build up to it a little bit. Let's just not like fly out of the gate with a brand new army who's here to fuck shit up. Like let's build to it. Let's not make the mistake that we made in the sequel trilogy. Let's get a villain that's, I don't know. Can we get a Thanos equivalent? Maybe Dave Filoni's saving that for his movie, but like just a villain who is good, who has depth that we care about. If they hadn't killed off Kylo Ren, don't know why the fuck they killed off Kylo Ren. They could have still been playing into his character. They could have still been filling him out because he had so much potential and he did have depth to him. So it's a damn shame. That's the second way that Kylo Ren could have been fantastic in this movie. So anyway, I only had one more point here that I wanted to talk about. The director. I don't want to butcher this. Charmin Obiad Chin Oi. I'm sure I've heard people say her name out loud. It's just like not in the memory banks right now. A little concerned about her being a director. Because, okay, I don't want to get too into this, but I have to a little bit. The thing that they're advertising that she's the most known for is 2 episodes of Miss Marvel. Not exactly what you think about when you think of amazing directors or like just Miss Marvel. It was a show that didn't really have much success, a character that nobody knows or cares about. It just kind of seems like a weird thing to like flex, But I went and I looked her up because I'm like, okay, aside from Miss Marvel, 2 episodes, she must have some other stuff to her name. She has a list of movies, but I kind of noticed that they are all very female centric. Not that there's anything wrong with that, all right? But I just hope that it kind of seems like we're at a time where Disney is facing the consequences of their actions. People don't want to be preached at with gender politics. People don't want to, whatever. They don't want to learn a lesson about our society in a Star Wars movie, okay? And they've been doing this, and it's annoying, and I think people are done with it. And I think society is kind of finally starting to see the pendulum shift the other way, where people are like, hey, can we stop doing this? Sure. See, I feel like I'm on a minefield right now. Some of that stuff was necessary, but I just don't want to see it in Star Wars. It's supposed to be an escape from all that shit. It's supposed to be escape into fun fantasy land. So I'm a little concerned when you have a director who specializes in that stuff. I just don't want to, I hate using this word because it just feels so cringe, but I just don't want another woke version of a story. I don't want, like, when I see this, I think this director and Kathleen Kennedy's obviously involved in this. Like, is her first order going to be females only or something like that? Just like unnecessary feminism that doesn't have to be injected into this. But I could see it happening. I'm a little worried about that. Like, Rey needs to be challenged in other ways. She doesn't need to be more of a girl boss. We don't need to see girl power. We need to see her struggling with building a Jedi Order. I don't want to jump the gun, but I am a little bit worried about that. So we'll see. Maybe none of that happens. Maybe it's just a coincidence that this director has this track record, and maybe it's not going to influence this movie in any way. But directors can change, so who knows? And she's not. I'm trying to be positive, but like, it's hard to be positive based on what we've gotten, and with Kathleen Kennedy in the mix too. It's just hard. I want to be. I can't fake it. I don't know if I want to be excited. I don't know. I don't really care that much about this movie. I'm gonna go see it because it's a Star Wars movie. I'm almost on the verge of not even watching Star Wars shows anymore, but I feel like a movie I would have to see. Um, yeah, it's I think I'm gonna see it either way. I think everyone's gonna see it. I don't think anyone's gonna pass. Any Star Wars fan that hasn't given up completely, that are still watching the shows, I think are gonna go see the movie. And at the end of the day, Star Wars is still a big name. It's still gonna fill movie seats. I still don't think they're gonna have to try that hard. Um, I don't think Daisy Ridley's a bad actor. I've seen her in one other movie. um, but she needs a director who can pull stuff out of her, and she needs writing that's going to complement her character that she's playing. So people don't think Daisy Ridley is the problem. I am happy that she's coming back to Star Wars in a way. I never not liked her. I just didn't really like how she was written. But I think the character of Rey is fine. I think the character of Rey Skywalker is a problem. But I don't know. I don't want her to get hated on. I don't want, like she said, she didn't think she was going to be back. And when she came back, she was surprised at the positive embrace that the community gave her, like at Star Wars Celebrations. And that does make me happy. I don't want her to go out there and get booed. You know, I hope this movie's her home run. I hope that they take some steps to clean up the mess that was the sequel trilogy, and I hope that they do her justice and give her a good movie that she can be proud of and that we can like. I think we all wanted to like Rey Skywalker, Rey, whatever. We all wanted to like Rey. Okay, we were all rooting for her when The Force Awakens came out. We all had our hopes and dreams for Star Wars placed on her, and who knows? Maybe she can claim that back. I always say Star Wars is about hope, so who knows, right? Anyway, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. If you guys have any comments, please leave it in the comments section. This is not the last time we're going to talk about this, I'm sure, as we get more information. I did take a bit of a step back from this channel, but I'm hoping to get more into it soon. So if you haven't subscribed yet, we're just getting started here. It's Star Wars Real Talk. And I should probably mention, YouTube does not monetize me for copyright issues that I've had using Star Wars material. It's a bummer, but there's nothing I can do about it. So if you want to donate, feel free to click that link in the description. It's because none of my stuff's monetized. So all that money would go into paying for bots for the Discord server, into expenses that I've had for stuff you see behind you. This little stupid light, you know, it would just cover those expenses that I still want to make because I love this channel and I care about it, but it would help. It would help. Okay. Anyone who donates gets a special role in the Discord and a big sloppy kiss from me. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you in the Discord. Let me know what you guys think. May the Force be with you.